Leaders across the Caribbean have delivered a united message to U.S. President Donald Trump in response to his administration's sweeping import tariffs. The Caribbean is a friend, not an enemy. This appeal follows the U.S. imposing a universal 10% tariff on imports from several nations, including Caribbean countries, a move that regional officials warn could trigger inflation, higher living costs, and economic strain for citizens already having difficulty making ends meet. President Trump was recently invited to engage in dialogue with Caribbean leaders to foster collaboration and alleviate the financial burden on consumers across the region. The discussions aim to address concerns that the tariffs would drive up import costs, particularly for essential goods such as food and household items. For small island nations like St. Lucia, where many products are imported, these new tariffs could have severe consequences, further straining household budgets and exacerbating poverty. Citizens across St. Lucia have expressed alarm over the potential economic fallout.
Everything that will be involved in bringing merchandise here will be more costly because all the people the people that have to pay those tariffs, they will be having to get it back from some source, and eventually it will end up on the poor man's back in the supermarkets, in in buying medication. In fact, all the things we really depend on from the United States will be more costly.
Many fear that the tariffs will lead to unsustainable price hikes, making basic necessities unaffordable for families living paycheck to paycheck.
Imagine a lot of our food stuff actually come from the United States. So what are we going to do?
Even here right now, before the tariffs, look at the prices. Look at that. Gadisa. If you know what I mean. It is exorbitant, it's high. Sorry, too high.
Despite a cautiously optimistic outlook on the global tariff situation, civil society member Richard Peterkin warns that rising prices on goods are likely to happen.
But unfortunately, those prices will increase because, the impact of this instability and uncertainty has already had an impact on manufacturers and producers and so on in the States are going to want to increase their prices, and of course we end up paying more. And of course the shipping, as I said, would also be more expensive. So there's not much that we can do about that. That's a U.S. issue, and we can only hope that Mr. Trump comes to his senses and realizes that we are clearly in the Caribbean in a unique position to continue to trade with them because we're not doing them any harm like some other countries that have a huge trade imbalance. And that at the end of the day, he can at least, if nothing else, maintain a low level, if even there is an increase of 10%, not increase it above that.
Many citizens are concerned that these tariff hikes could spell economic disaster, urging national leaders to unite and devise urgent measures to protect vulnerable households from soaring costs.
It's going to be somewhat of a disaster waiting to happen, if you understand where I'm coming from. It's going to take a lot of negotiations and back and forth, and I just hope that it does not lead to something that everybody will regret at the end of the day. But it is something that we St. Lucians have to look into, especially our government, be past, present, anybody. We have to put our heads together.
In a recent development, President Trump announced a 90-day suspension on certain new tariffs, offering temporary relief to some trading partners. However, his administration simultaneously escalated tensions with China by raising tariffs on Chinese imports to 125%, a move he declared would take effect immediately. The conflicting signals, extending an olive branch to some nations while tightening trade restrictions on others, have left Caribbean leaders in a precarious position. For now, the message from the Caribbean is clear. Partnership, not confrontation, is the way forward. Chloe Dantes, NBC Prime.